wanted to see. So thank you so much for being here. Lauren, I'm just gonna ask, did Karen ever respond to you? No, she couldn't get on.
I'm on.
Oh, Karen,
And
I'm here, guys.
hi, I'm on, and Celeste is here too.
Amazing. Thanks for saying that. I just wanted to make sure. I was on another call and I want to make sure you got taken care of.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
Gosh, no, I wanted you to get here. I'm so
I'm
happy that
here.
you're all here.
We're here.
Awesome. So I love dreams. For those of you who know me, I am a dream fanatic because, and if you've been, some of you have been reading some of my emails, etc. I am so passionate about dreams because they are this hidden doorway, this key into our unconscious realm. And I know that everyone here has some degree, if not a very vast degree, of understanding and wisdom in the metaphysical community. And one of the things that we talk all the time about, right, is limiting beliefs and inherited ancestral structures or thought patterns. And those are the things that we find are the hardest things to let go of, right? We don't even know that they are happening. We walk into our daily life and it's almost like our nervous system just takes over. And all of a sudden, thoughts that we know aren't even ours start taking over. This could be something like scarcity. This could be something like being shy or your voice isn't being heard. This could be something like, low value, feeling unvaluable, that you have to prove something in this world. And those are belief systems that are really given to us by our environment. It's like we just walk into the world and we're this giant memory foam being. We come in with this giant soul into tiny little bodies, and the entire consciousness of the collected humanity begins to imprint itself on us. And the thing that holds that imprint in place is our nervous system. It continues to lock things into our being and create this circuit where we're not entirely sure why we are believing the things that we believe or acting on the things that we believe. And sometimes, even if we study meditation all day long, or we are doing all of the work of manifestation and belief consciousness, the thing is that we don't know what we don't know. And the key to this really is something that isn't talked about very often, and this is the power of dreams. Because dreams in this form of interpretation, and I know there's a lot out there, but I'm going to be speaking specifically to something called the universal language of mind. And this particular system of dream interpretation helps us to see the 24 to 48 hours before we had the dream, exactly what we're doing with our consciousness. And from that place, we can begin to notice when we've been stuck in the past, when we are behaving from something that was given to us, when we are being habitual, when we're overwhelmed, and why, when we're even pushing our bodies too far. It's quite amazing. Actually, one woman that I work with on her dreams, she had been dreaming about a car crash, multiple car crashes, recurring car crash theme of her dreams. And a car in a dream is symbolic of our physical body. And what I love is that this system of dream interpretation is using the symbol as its function every day. So what's a function of a car? We get in and we drive places. Well, this is symbolic of our physical body because our soul comes into our body and begins to drive it around. And so when we have car crashes in the dream, that is clearly pointing to the fact that we are pushing ourselves past our fatigue point, past a sense of physical well-being. And so with this theme of car crashes for her, it was unconscious. She was trained somewhere in her upbringing that she was supposed to push through physical fatigue. She is a mom, she's a wife, she works, she wants to be successful. So her whole programming of unconscious belief system was that she needed to prove her value by showing how much resistance she could push through, even if her body was crying for stillness or peace or rest or rejuvenation. And the reality was that this dream was showing her step by step that she was pushing herself too hard. And when we were interpreting the dream, I said, I just want you to know that because this is so thematic, I want you to start looking out because there is a possibility of pushing yourself so far that you could encounter injury. She messaged me back and she said, I can't believe you just said that because I just broke my foot yesterday. So one of the things that had happened for her was that it was actually a re-injury. She had months ago injured her foot, didn't take the time to heal it, pushed through, thought it was good enough, healed enough. And then because she'd had these dreams for a few weeks, her subconscious mind, her soul, her eternal being kept being like, hey, you might want to rest. Hey, you might want to rest. Hey, you might want to rest, right? And she was like, no, my unconscious programming is I'm tough. I live in Montana. I'm going to push through. I'm new to Montana, those of you who are Montanans, and you all are tough. I'm not gonna lie, you're resilient people. And so she was like, I'm gonna march through this. I'm gonna work through this. And at some point, her body said no more and re-injured this foot. And so what I love about that is all of this healing that is available to us literally every night in our dreams. Every night we go to bed and we consciously remember our dreams, we are teaching ourselves where these unconscious belief systems are at play, even to the point of our physical body. But it could also be things like one of my dreams clients, she has a lot of dreams where water is overwhelming to her. Water is a symbol of our conscious life, our physical life experience. Now, I'm a tarot reader also. It's a little contrary for me to think of this water as not emotions. I instinctively want to make water about the emotional level. But if you follow the system and use water as your conscious life experience, it's always so illuminating because you can see there's some dreamers have pipes breaking in their dream. Such a great analogy because it's like, okay, I had my life nice and organized. Everything was working, and now the pipes have broke. And usually, when we remember enough symbols, the dream is going to also show us how to heal that unconscious wounding also. Our dreams are not just going to leave us hanging and be like, good luck with that overwhelm. Good luck with that injury. See what you can figure out. There's always a key in there. So in this case, where this one dreamer had the pipes bursting and she was overwhelmed, the whole this was all actually happening in the basement, which in a dream, a basement is about our unconscious mind, right? The theme of the day. What is our unconsciousness telling us? And so in that basement, she had structures in place to kind of just make things happen. Let's just make it happen. I have these pipes working. If I can just hold it together enough, then I can get through. And so once the pipes burst, it was like, I can't just make it through anymore. I can't just get through. I've got to actually evaluate what is important to me so that I can make structures that I'm aware of in my life, patterns that I'm aware of, practices that I'm aware of, so that I'm truly channeling my life energy and not just letting it wash away from me. So I find that dreams are this powerful tool to be able to make immediate change. You can make instant change because as soon as you've had the dream, you can wake up the next day and make a new choice. If we'll use the example of the young woman who with the cars, she could make a choice the next day to say, you know what? I'm going to ask my husband for help. I'm going to tell my husband that I can't actually take the kids today to X, Y, or Z. Or, you know what? I hate these crutches so much and I'm going to get on them because I now know what it means to push myself past the point of no return. And I get to choose to be a different consciousness from here on out because my soul is the one telling me what is happening. And what I love too about that is that I could tell you 1,000 times, I could tell her 1,000 times, you need to take care of yourself, you need to take care of yourself. But when you're hearing it from somebody else, you can kind of put that on the shelf. Easy to put that on the shelf. Easy to intellectualize it. When you're hearing it from you dreamt it, you gave yourself that mission, that whole sequence of events, it's kind of hard to ignore yourself. It's possible. It's possible. But it feels a little more urgent when it's coming from you, from that dream state. And the last little dream I want to talk about, and then I have a lot of stuff I want to do today. We only have an hour, 45 minutes now, so I'm going to talk as fast as I can. I'm going to turn on my Chicago accent and move as fast as possible so we get everything covered. But the other thing I love to talk about is this dream, especially when it talks about when we're talking about really believing ourselves versus somebody else. I was working with a couple, and the husband had a dream about a spider. This was also in my emails, but I really want to hit it home while we're here, because he had this recurring dream. He had had it 50 times from like all throughout young adulthood. And he was in an old house that he had grown up in, and this giant spider was outside weaving a web. And every time that he tried to move along that web, it would get stickier and stickier and stickier, and he couldn't move. And there was only one street light in that dream. Everything else was dark. The whole thing was unilluminated. And so to break it down, the house is symbolic of a state of mind. And since it was an old state of mind because it was a house from childhood. And so as he was trying to move himself into a more present state of mind, this habit, which is a spider, this habit wound him up in all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of distractions to keep him stuck in this pattern of thought. And with only one streetlight in there, light is about how aware we are, how conscious we are of our surroundings and of our situation. With this one streetlight, he was stuck because he wasn't even aware of this pattern that was literally holding him to a childhood way of thinking. And this being a recurring dream really means that his soul was like, knock, knock. I'd like for you to be more present, please. Knock, knock. I'd like for you to be more present, please. And it was just knocking, 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 because the desire of the soul was to be in the present moment, that he was no longer that child. He was a grown man that needed to be in the present moment. And it was just a habit that if he brought his attention to that habit, he could transform how he felt about himself. So I was telling him this dream, and his wife is standing there, and she jumps over and crosses her hands, tapping her foot, and said, I told you, you've been living in the past. And I loved that moment because it didn't matter how many times she told him that. It didn't matter how many times anyone told him that, any amount of therapy, any amount of inner exploration. He had given himself the gift of knowing what was happening. And you could see it in his eyes. His eyes got huge. And he realized exactly what that was all about. And so dreams are just this gateway to self-realization, self-empowerment, change, ancestral change, even. Because if we really recognize that we are playing by old, outdated patterns, or letting ourselves be overwhelmed, or letting ourselves be pushed past our limits, we change ourselves, which emanates out, of course, to our families, our communities, everyone we talk to, everyone we touch, everyone we reach. We are now the gatekeepers of our evolution. We are now the gatekeepers of the next generation of ancestral healing, because we have chosen not only to listen to our eternal being, but to take action on it. And from that action, we ripple out, 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 beyond and beyond, which I think is just exquisitely powerful and something that we don't get to talk about every day. So I'm so happy that you all are here willing to talk about it. And one of the things that I didn't speak to a little bit, I've just been talking about symbolic dreams. And I know that there are some of you who have written in about your dreams that feel like a past life memory. Some of you have talked about traveling dreams. And I do want to actually touch base on that before I dive in. And I really want this to be interactive, and I want to be able to address your dreams. So how we even know we're dreaming is a function of our attention. So right now, our attention is almost all entirely here in the five sense world. We all arrived here at this time. The internet worked. Huzzah. We are here in our five sense world. However, when we go to sleep, it's like a sliding scale of our attention. We start to move our attention into the inner levels of consciousness where our eternal being is living. And so we start to move into that dream state. And why we have a dream is because our attention is in the dream. And so when it's a symbolic dream, it's like we're Harry Potter or something, looking into that mirror where it tells you the truth. Lauren, you can tell me what that's actually called. But that mirror where, do you know what it's called? Oh, you're muted.
The mirror of Erised.
Harrison. And,
Everything.
right, and you look in that,
Everything.
right, and it's like, oh, the truth comes out in that mirror, right?
Yes, it shows your truest heart's desire when you look in the mirror.
Amazing. I couldn't have a better symbol for what dreams do.
So
So we're
we
like
get
bringing
it.
our attention into that space where we are looking into that mirror for ourselves and saying, what was I really doing the last 24 to 48 hours? And then dreams have this other opportunity, which is because they're in the subconscious mind, we are connected all together in the subconscious mind. That's where these clairvoyant experiences happen. This is where Akashic records live. This is where all of this connectivity happens, is in that subconscious mind. And so what can happen is, depending on how conscious or directed or focused we are, we can actually have traveling dreams. One of my favorite dreams is I went to Russia. I had gone to Russia for an exchange program, a long time ago at this point, and I didn't want to come home. I loved Russia so much. I was in St. Petersburg. We had to see all the art and the dancing and amazing stuff. And so when I got home, I had a dream and I knew I was in Russia. I was walking to all the little restaurants that I loved. I was seeing all the streetcars and everything. And that's because subconscious mind, I can travel there. We can all travel wherever we want to go on that subconscious mind. There's one of my other types of dreams that I like in terms of travel is that we can meet each other in a dream. So my husband and I had a dream together. We didn't know it at the time, but we woke up and I said, "Hey, you were in my dream and we were building this house." And he goes, "Yeah, it was a dome." And I was like, "Yeah." And then he started talking about these architectural features and how we were looking at it together. And we were like, "Oh, we were there. We were in the same place in the mind together." So you can have traveling dreams where you meet up with other people and you're actually there at the same time having an experience. And of course, you can have past life dreams as well. We just recently had a woman who's in my Dreamology course who said, "I had this dream where nothing was moving and I was like observing an airplane from World War II. And I knew I was observing it, and I looked down and the clouds parted and I saw this giant warship. And when I zoomed in, I could zoom in, it was the same make model. I'm sorry, I'm not a military person. I apologize. But it was the same boat that her dad had served on in that war. And she really felt that she had transported herself to that moment in time. And that right before that, right before she went to bed, she had had a true connection, feeling her dad's presence right before she went to sleep. So this is one other thing that we can talk about in terms of travel, visitation dreams. Yes, this is such an easy way for those who are on the other side to come connect with us because we are in belief. We don't have to even believe, we're there. If we're in our conscious mind, we're going to be freaked out because we're like, "Oh my God, it's a ghost. That's scary." But when we're asleep, we're like, "Yes, come to me. I want to talk to you." After my mom passed away, my sister had lots of visitation dreams of my mom. And ironically, she was just doing very mundane things, but she was kind of constantly poking at my sister. My sister's very meticulous and organized, and my mom was disrupting all of her organization in the dream, which is absolutely what she would have done in physical life as well. So we have this massive universe in dreams that can take us from everything from what we were talking about at the beginning, healing limiting beliefs, healing unconscious ancestral wounds, all the way to visiting with people who have passed on, reassessing our past lives, being able to meet each other, go to different places. They're just truly like real magic, right? Like real life magic happens when we go to sleep. And it's something that we miss because we live very busy lives and we fall into sleep. I always say, "I'm crashed out." And then we wake up to an alarm and we're like, "It's time to go." So that attention slider doesn't get the chance to slide and keep our awareness between the worlds. That slider gets smashed into different places, right? So if you've ever like done a flip book, those flip books where things are in action, it's kind of just like you flip the book so fast, you have no idea what just happened in that flip book. Instead of being able to take it at its role and to know what the story was. And this is something that absolutely can be practiced. This is indeed a practice. And so much of it is about our concentration, Are we concentrating during the day? So one suggestion I really like to do is to say, hey, set a timer like every 3 hours to take 1 full minute and know where you are. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? Get into your sensory world intentionally throughout the day. Because the more intentional you are with your attention, then you are going to be able to hone that and harness that while you are sleeping as well. The other thing I like to do is it is also a communication. It's like if your best friend is texting you, texting you, texting you, and you don't text back, she's probably not going to keep texting you for too long. And or she might text you once every 6 months or once a year or on your birthday. You know, it is a relationship. This is a true relationship with your inner being. And you can open the doorway by one, purchasing a really unique journal just for your dreams. And every night you can write the date of the next day and say, I will remember my dreams. I invite them in. I'm going to remember. And even if you literally just get the tiniest fragment, you get a spider walked across the street. We can interpret that, one. And two, you are letting your soul, your subconscious mind, know you're listening. And it's going to be like, oh, she's listening. He's listening. Amazing. I'm going to send you 3 symbols tonight. And then I'm going to send you 4. And this is what I've been watching for people that are on my Dreamology course. We're only 2 months in, and people's dreams are flowing because they've opened the line of communication. And so much of that is just that simple acknowledgement of, yes, I'm listening. So I have been doing so much talking, and I know that there are people on this call that have requested that we do some dreams. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Would someone like to volunteer to share their dream right now? I know that was like kind of mean of me to just do that. Esther's going to volunteer. Kick us off, my friend.
Okay, so this is a recurring dream. I haven't had it recently, so since it's 24 to 48 hours, apparently it's not an issue for me right now, but I've had it many times, and it comes in different ways. And so I'm riding a tractor, and I'm always either going downhill or going uphill, but either way, no matter which direction I'm going, I'm trying to stop. And as I push the brake on the tractor, it's soft, and I keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And no matter how hard I push it, the tractor keeps moving. And it's not like it's moving in any, it's creeping like so slow, but I can't stop it. Either I'm going backwards down the hill or I'm going forwards down the hill. And once it came as I was in a semi, an 18-wheeler going down a hill with a sharp curve, and it was like a real big kind of thing. But it was the same idea where I couldn't stop the thing, even though I'm not moving fast.
Perfect. Okay, so we know that a vehicle is representative of your physical body. Any vehicle is representative of your physical body. And what I kind of love about a tractor is that it is fully, its function in life is to be able to support agriculture, which means the capacity to support food, nourishment, and wisdom. So food in a dream is about wisdom and information. And so to me, was this dream while you were in school by any chance?
No, I've never had it then. This is just adult life over the last like 10, 12 years or so.
Awesome. I was just curious. So when we are on the land like this is about our creativity, our capacity to be creative. And in this case, for you, having the tractor is about your ability to cultivate your creativity in your physical life. And there is different elements to this, and you can talk me through this. One is that, that this is moving so slow, and I'm cheating a little bit because I know you, is like, this is moving so slow. I need this to stop so that I can make a change, is like the impression that I'm getting from what you're saying. And so either way, this is about you feeling like life is driving you and you are not driving life, specifically the tempo of life. And in this case with the tractor, your ability to create your life through your body. So in this dream, you could always look back, and since it's recurring, it's like, man, how much did I feel like I was just along for the ride in life? And I was not the one actually driving it. Even if I'm driving an 18-wheeler, which is a giant truck that has a lot of momentum behind it, I'm still not in control of this. Life is in control. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if the tractor is on my childhood farm, how
Yeah.
does that change it?
Yes, perfect question. Because anytime that we are in a space from the past, it is an old way of thinking. So it's such a perfect example of holding on to a belief system, whatever that belief system was, probably that you have to follow a certain set of rules or you have to do things in a certain way, and that there is a prescribed way of doing things, and you are not actually the driver in your life. And that is an old pattern of thinking that comes from the past and it was inherited. And so with this dream being recurring, it's like your soul being like, you get to be the driver. I just want you to know you get to be the driver. Just want you to know. So when it's recurring, it means it's the same state of consciousness. We haven't changed our state of consciousness enough for the dream to change. Because what ends up happening is once we actually change our life, the symbols in the dream change too. So then let's just imagine that you had interpreted that and then you really started taking action and being like, I'm going to drive this. I'm going to decide what the tempo of my life is. I'm going to decide what choices I'm making. Well, now you will be driving that tractor or you will be driving that bus. You will be in the driver's seat and you will feel in charge. Sound good?
Yes. Thank you.
Amazing. Mary Pat, remind me, did you have a dream that you put in?
No, I didn't write any. Mine are just fragments at this point. There's probably not enough to pick apart.
Bring me a
They're all
fragment.
over-
So,
Look at her. She's
You
like, I
shared
can do
this.
fragment.
yeah, Mary, because mine are fragments too. So I want to hear how fragments get done.
So good. No dream is too small. Let's do it.
Oh my God. I try to write them down in the morning, but I can't. The problem is I have a hard time reading my notes on things.
You're not alone.
But it looks like the most recent one. Some of the symbols are what you talked about in your email. Something about a house being full. Like I said, I can't read my people in the hallway. People all living together. And something's being sold. Then later making a movie and a male leaves and a cake. That's a
I love
random
the challenge.
It could be from 5 different dreams that I remembered from the first dream, the second dream, the third dream, the fourth dream during the night as I woke up, and then they just all came in little pieces. But there isn't a coherent story line in that.
So fragments also work. So you have a house filled with people, right? So
Right.
a house we've been talking about is your state of mind. So this state of mind has a lot of activity. We haven't even talked about people yet in a dream. So people are all symbolic of aspects of yourself. Everything in this realm of dream interpretation is a symbol of you. Every person, every place, everything, every lighting, everything is an aspect of you, unless you're having those traveling dreams. But you'll know when you're traveling. So with this, the people in the dream are aspects of yourself. What do I mean by aspects? You're all multidimensional beings. They could be things like the parts of you that are courageous, the parts of you that are shy, the parts of you that are overthinkers, the parts of you that are visionaries, the parts of you that are humorous, the parts of you that are thinker. All of those pieces of you were hanging out in this house. So it was a very full house. So you could think of that as a moment in your day where you were like, I have too much going on in my head. Like there's just absolutely too much happening right now. And I'm not exactly sure how I want to move forward in my thought processes because it's too full of a house. And then you said that there was a man that was leaving, right?
Yeah.
Something being sold. So, and something was being sold also.
Yeah, something was being sold and that was satisfying. And then there was making a movie, then a male was leaving.
Perfect. So it was satisfying that you were selling something. So in my imagination, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, here we are in this house full of people, and you were able to finally see the value in getting rid of a part of your thought processes because you
Oh,
were selling this thing. And it's like, oh, it's so satisfying. Anytime we have money in there, it's about our value. So you're like, okay, great. That feels so good to let that go. I am valuing the release, so I have a little bit more space in here. And from that, you have a movie that's playing. A movie is all about our imagination. How are we using our imaging faculties? So from that space, because you were able to let go of something and value the release of it, you could actually start imagining something new.
okay.
So even with those symbols, you could probably look back to that moment in the day and be able to say, like, yeah, I was really cluttered in my thinking. I was really cluttered, and I realized I just had to let something go. I just had to let it go. And as soon as I did that, I was filled with the possibility of what could come next that couldn't be in there when my house was too full of all these thoughts.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Eden,
Yes,
I
Ms.
want to know why I show up for grand events buck-ass naked in my dreams.
I'm so glad you
It's
asked
not
that
very
question.
comfortable.
I love this question so much because people are uncomfortable, of course, by nudity in a dream. They're also uncomfortable by sexuality in a dream, but we'll talk about that in a second. So nudity in a dream is about self-honesty. So you're like, I'm getting real with myself. I've got like all this stuff going on in my life. I've got all this stuff going on in my head, and I'm getting real. I'm showing up, nothing holding me back. I got all my clothes off. I'm here for it. So this is a huge moment of self-honesty, and you could look back on the day before and be like, when did I get real with myself? Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Are
It
you
doesn't feel very comfortable.
I was gonna ask, that was my next question. You're gonna feel
No.
comfortable, right? Because why? Because we normally are suppressing our truth. This goes back to this entire theme of unconscious belief systems. We are taught to suppress our truth, contort, condense, to stay in the line of what is acceptable. And so when you are showing up honest in a dream, you're showing up naked in a dream, like, this is really uncomfortable. It's because it's new. One, it's like a new area of your life that maybe you're getting real with yourself on. And two, it may just be that you've never given yourself the opportunity to be that real with yourself because you have a lot in your life. I know you well enough to know that you have a lot in your life, that you have a lot of people you're responsible for, and that you have a lot of dreams that are a lot of times other people's dreams. And so when we take
Mhm.
on the role of being of service, sometimes we slide into being a servant, and then we don't get to actually voice what our desires are. And there's a beautiful line that we can move towards, which is being of both servant through service. But to do that, there has to be the self-evaluation to say, I am worthy of being honest about my thoughts to myself first. Can I get comfortable getting that real with myself and trust that if I am that real, I know that things are going to change because I haven't allowed this to be present in my consciousness before. And then if I get really solid in myself, I can begin to tiptoe that out into my community.
Is there
Wow.
significance that it's a big event that she's showing up naked to, or is it just anytime you're naked?
What's true is that anytime that you're naked, you're having this self-honesty. But what's significant about this big event is that it's like a huge gathering of herself.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's like, I got all of me here. I got all my tribe, my inner tribe here. But dang, it's hard to be honest with myself when I got everybody here.
Yeah.
Is that landing for you, Robin?
It really is, because I'm also thinking about the other people in my dream that are observing me being naked, and they're uncomfortable too. Everybody's, it's the elephant, so to speak, in the room. Um, and so, yes, it makes perfect sense. And I really can't wait to have another naked dreams because now I know what I need to be paying attention to.
Yes, exactly. And that's a
Yeah.
great, because one of the things that is the most important is that how are you going to respond to the dream? So in this scenario
Mhm.
for you is every moment of the day that you notice yourself suppressing yourself or being
Hmm.
uncomfortable with what's true for you is time to reflect. Even if that means like removing yourself for a second, going to the bathroom and being like, wow, I'm really uncomfortable with this. And that's how you get into the nakedness where you're comfortable in the dream, is the practice.
Oh, huh. Well, thank you very much. That was awesome.
You are so welcome. I just got a direct message. So, to that person who just messaged me, do you want me to keep this private or can I say who you are? You can just message me. I'm gonna read what this dream is while they're thinking if I can say that. Hi, Kay. Is it okay if I read your dream out loud to people? Okay, you just have laryngitis. Great. I'm gonna read it then. We're gonna get in it. And you can message me and I will go back and forth. Okay. Um, yes, Lauren, to answer your question. Um, so Kay says, I visited a coworker and who is a musician in Montana in December and returned to Alaska the following Valentine's Day. I visited in an infirmary, which was my grade school music room. I left the visit and heard Dawn's down, ran back, held him in my arms, and he shriveled up to the size of a baby. Yellow was the aura around this room. He died the day I dreamt this. Amazing. I'm going to read that again because I was mumbling. So Kay visited a coworker in Montana. That was in waking life, and returned to Alaska. So the following Valentine's Day, she visited him in an infirmary, which was in my grade school music room. Was that part in it? That part was the dream. Yes, music room was a dream. Yes. So she dreamt that she was visiting him in an infirmary, which was in her grade school music room. She left the visit and heard Dawn's down. She ran back and held him in her arms. He shriveled up to the size of a baby and he died that day. Ah, okay. I love this dream because this is like a combination of things going on here. And people do have prophetic dreams. That was one thing I didn't talk about. And sometimes prophetic dreams can intimidate us, right? Because we're thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to know that kind of information. I kind of want to switch that off because it's a little bit much for me. However, because we are all connected in subconscious mind, like I was talking about before, we can have prophetic dreams, meaning we see the probabilities of what is going to happen. There's always free will, so we always have the opportunity to be able to say, you know what? Like everyone has the opportunity to change at any time. Free will is more powerful than probability. However, if people don't make that active change, we can see into the probabilities of our future. So for you there, Ms. K, that you really were seeing this probability of what was happening. And I'm intuiting that he wanted you to know also, because there's so many times that people, when my mom passed away, for example, she visited her sister, she visited my sister, and I think she visited one of her friends. So that day that she died, she made that journey right in the like few hours between right when she was about to take her last breath and when right after she took her last breath. So there was that veil was very thin there. So your friend, what I think is really interesting is it's almost like you're running in and he's turning back into this baby, which I really do view death this way as a rebirth. That when you actually sit with people who are passing, you know that they are going somewhere. They are not ending. That is the end of this physical life, but they do kind of become reborn in that sense, that they are turning back into that infant even though they're turning also back into this huge, vast consciousness. It's kind of a dual function there. So I think the symbolism of this dream is so perfect because it's like a return to the essence, a return to the truth of who he was, and that you were able to support him in there while he both shrank and then as a soul is also growing at the same time. So, Kay, I just want to acknowledge that two things were happening here. One, that you were open enough to receive this so that he felt like he could come to you. And two, that it's a great symbol because we can rest into the fact that death as a transition is this experience of rebirthing, and that we come into our raw essence, the same raw essence that we came into this life with as a little one. So you have this beautiful weaving of symbolism and prophecy and visitation all in this one dream that technically looks quite simple. Does that resonate for you, Kay? And while we're waiting for her to type, I love that dream. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I love that, he felt that comfortable coming to you. Yeah, I'm glad he's reborn too. He definitely is. I sat with both my parents while they were transitioning, and it was life-changing. And then I had the honor of working in hospice for a year after that as a chaplain, and to be able to walk as a doula with someone to the threshold into the mystery of life and death is one of the most powerful privileges I will have ever had, because we come to know that we know that we know that we are eternal beings. And I know there's not one person here who hasn't seen death. So I know I'm speaking to the choir here. And I think it's just so powerful to remind ourselves of what's true. The truth is that we are souls having a physical experience. We are truly eternal. And one of the things that we can do to make sure that we get the most out of this experience, that we can suck the marrow of the bone of this life experience, is to be as awake as possible. What does that mean to be enlightened? To live in light. In a dream, light means awareness. So how can we live enlightened? How can we live in awareness that we are both eternal and material beings, and there is no separation? And that's part of the power of this gateway of dreams too. And I think it's just so important to know that. So I thank you so much, Kay, for bringing that to us. I have time to do one more dream, possibly two if they're short. So Celeste or Sheila or Karen. And if I don't get to your dream today, I'd love to do it with you privately so that we can make sure that we get your dream answered, because I know there are some interesting ones in there.
This is Celeste.
Hi, Celeste.
I'm with Karen in her house, so I'm Popeyes on the dream. Well, let's see. I had a dream 2 mornings ago, before waking up. And I live over near 39 where High Park goes up, and then I was going up the hill. And I was thinking, well, I had a bike or something, and I thought, oh, I can't ride up the hill. I'll just walk. And it was going to be a long walk. So I don't know what happened to the bike, but I started. And then it turned into, I was walking, and I grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, near Chicago.
I'm from Oak Park.
From Oak Park?
Yes, that's my home.
Oh, that's where I grew up.
Me
Yeah. So I'm walking, and I was on Lake Street, where Marshall Fields used to be, and a fair department store, but I crossed the street, and it was upstairs, and it all turned into a mall that went like east along that side of the street. Upstairs, in one shop after another, kind of walking through these shops at the window edge, where I could see the street was down there, and across the street the window. And then I got to this shop, and then lo and behold, there was this little room there, and a bed with like a satin comforter, real puffy and cushy, soft. And I thought, oh, this shop owner sleeps here. You know, they like it so much, or they're so busy working, they sleep here. And anyway, I stopped there, and then there was this box beside the bed, and it was like a treasure box, kind of a little 10-inch or so, little treasure box with the lid flipped up. And there was some scarves or hankies in there, little things, and then there was a crystal. And then it turned out the crystal was broken. One little piece was broken off, and then I realized that the crystal itself was broken in half. And then I decided, and I thought, oh, I think I thought this, that they might think I broke it. But so I tried to glue it back together. And then I was kind of waking up, but I didn't want to stop the dream, so I got back into it, and I took the crystal out to see if it got glued together, and it glue wasn't solid yet, so I re-glued it again, and then I took it back out, and I was afraid it was going to stick to the fabric things in the box, and blah blah. Then I woke up. So I was trying to fix the crystal, but you can't really fix a crystal with glue.
That's so awesome. All right, Celeste, let's get into it. My fellow Oak Parker, I know exactly where you're talking about in that town. So, first of all, again, we have a bicycle, which is still a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And this is a vehicle about balance. So again, if you're thinking back a couple of days ago, you may have been engaged with like, oh my God, it's just too hard to balance my life right now. There's so much going on right now. This hill just feels overwhelming. Like, I don't even know. I'm just going to have to go slow. I'm just going to have to walk it up this hill. And as you do that, it transports you to Oak Park, which is an old state of mind because you don't live there anymore. And that is where you grew up. So it's taking you to a past way of behaving. And when you go there, you're going to this, store that doesn't exist anymore either. So it's a place of mind that is really actually quite outdated. And when you engage with that state of mind, you plug into the collective consciousness. A mall is symbolic of the collective consciousness. So how we're engaging psychically and with impressions when we're in groups of people. And when you're going there, you're looking through the windows, and windows are all about our perspective and focus. So you're trying to get focused, like while you're in this interacting with a group consciousness. And from there, there's this bed that you interpret as the owner's bed. So a bed is a tool for assimilation. So you're trying to assimilate everything that's going on at the same time. And you're not kind of like, oh, that's not really my place to assimilate, but I'm going to try to assimilate. But next to that is this treasure chest. And in this treasure, if I could really get into this assimilation process, I would see like how much treasure is really here. And like you are talking about this crystal. So if I think about crystals, crystals are really unique because they all emanate one soul frequency. So it's kind of like, when I think about this, I think about it in two terms. One, rocks are again about our creative mind. And this particular way of being creative feels like it's got a fissure and a fracture in it. And you just can't actually quite glue it back together, right? Because you can't glue a crystal back together. And the whole issue is that you are operating your creativity from an outdated state of mind. You can't even assimilate what's happening right now because it is out of date. So this connection between looking for balance in your life, like when you feel like you're out of balance, is going to take you into this place where you kind of reach out to the collective for support and for perspective and understanding, and to look for like, how do I hold on to my treasures? How do I hold on and make sure my treasures are intact and my creativity is intact while I'm navigating other people? So this could look like, oh man, I've got like this really busy calendar schedule and I just don't even know how I'm gonna like maintain my calendar right now, but I've got to go to this meeting. So I'm gonna go to this meeting, and while I'm in there, I'm gonna try to process the fact that I don't feel fully present because I know I have so much going on and I have stuff to give, but I just can't give it to my best ability. I have things that I want to say, but I just can't say it to the best of my ability. I'm going to kind of try to make it happen. I'm going to try to say what I need to say. I'm going to try to be there the way I need to be there, but I'm just kind of exhausted because I don't have this sense of equilibrium. And I'm going to use my kind of habitual way of interacting with the world to make sure I get through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm not gonna lie, you just made me homesick just a little bit. For that Marshall.
Share, not be seeing just, I mean, we can't, we're not interacting that way, but.
Wait, say that. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
To be sharing and talking with you, but I see you and I see the other people, but I'm not there. I'm here. I am here.
I believe that you're here. Next time. Amazing. So I want to take these last few minutes that we have here and talk to you about how you could continue to work on your dreams, because I just hope that tonight illuminated how important they really are. And I've made this very accessible for right now, because I just love dreams so much. And you can even reach out to Esther over there, because Esther is one of my Dreamology participants and she has made incredible progress. And one of the things that I love is that we are going to take 4 months. This is a 4-month membership that you would be enrolling in with me. It's only $44 a month, and you get one dream interpreted with me a week. And so that means that you would download what's called the Voxer app, and you can message me with a dream, and I will usually send you a voice message back. And Lauren just put that link in there if you would like to subscribe today. So again, the reason I like to do 4 months is what we were talking about, is that you're going to start seeing an arc of how you are using the symbols in your dream. And I'm going to just use Esther as a really brief example. Esther started with lots of tables in her dream. They were all jammed up together and lots of stuff on them. And now she has her whole dream life is very organized and precise. She's got a lot of precision happening in her dreams, which means that she has really reorganized how she's using her consciousness in the daily world. So it's not just stuffing her with ideas or disorganization or holding on to things that seem out of order. She has a real structure to her life. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Esther, but I believe that she got to that place in her consciousness because she had been interpreting these dreams and was able to actively integrate them into her life. Do you feel like that's true?
Well, I feel like I'm doing a lot of other things also, but having that awareness has been super, super helpful to understanding what's going on so that I can then think about that. So yes.
Yes, piece of the puzzle. I love it. So for $44 a month, like I said, you can sign up and we can do the one-on-one. You get all my attention, all my time, even if they're just fragments. If you send me fragments, we can do more than one a week, I promise. So we can do lots of fragments in a week. And then the other option that I have is a Dreamology Plus, because I think so much of what happens is that we don't have our consciousness fully integrated. And so with the Plus membership, what you would do is that we meet once a week and you get extra time to ask me more about dreams, because every other week we're going to do a Q&A where you get to ask me about other dreams that maybe you had questions about, but you didn't get the chance to ask in your once a week option. And then on the off weeks, we do an intense integrative meditation. So we do everything from unhooking the ego to releasing ancestral patterns. We actually go in like energetic acupuncture and begin to release things that are preventing you from either receiving your dreams or holding onto them. And that's $144 a month for 4 months. Okay, so if you choose to do this in the next 24 hours, I am so happy to be sending you a dream stone. This comes from the shores of Ireland. I handpicked these stones asked to come home with me, and they are something that you can use to put under your pillow and invite in the dreams, or you can take it with you throughout the day and use it as a touchstone to remember what your dreams were about. And so I'd love to invite you in the next 24 hours to be able to receive these stones. They are gorgeous. They're all different colors, and they have the element of the ocean, of course, imbuing them, which when I think about the ocean, I think about the moon and I think about the tides pulling us and shaping us. And that to me is exactly what our dreams are doing at the same time. So does anyone, I know we need to wrap up here in just a minute, but does anyone have any questions or thoughts? Or I'm here for it for a few more minutes. And then if you have something that I didn't get to, I'd love to connect with you one-on-one. And you can just reach out to me in my email or in text. Anyone have anything else they'd like to share? Yeah, Esther.
I would just like to share, I'm doing the Plus subscription and it has been amazing. The meditations are truly transformative and I've noticed a real difference from those. Having that extra Q&A is really fantastic. And just within a short period of time, I've been able to now connect. I was never able to connect before that 24, 48-hour window. And now just in the last 2 weeks, I've been able to say, oh, this dream is clearly connected to what I was thinking about the day before I was dreaming, which has been totally amazing. So I just highly recommend either subscription, totally amazing. And Eden did not ask me to say any of this, and she's not paying me.
This is true. I didn't even know you were going to be here tonight. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Does anyone else have any questions or comments before we sign off? All right. Well, oh yeah, Lauren, you got something?
Just that this was really awesome. It's always fun to hang out with you. So thank you for doing this for us. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you all taking the time. I know time is so valuable. And
Mhm.
I will send out this recording too, so if you ever want to go back. And I hope to see you in the Dreamology program because it's so much fun. Either that,
Thank
happy dreaming, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Eden.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
let's read that journal, Kay. Good job.